Regular council meeting for January 14th, 2025. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Joanette,
Present.
Councilmember Rubio,
Here.
Councilmember Veros,
Here.
and Mayor Armstrong.
Here. Okay, if you would, I'd like to invite Shrivas from Troop 621. He's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Shrivas. All right, next item of business, please.
Item 3, special business item 3.1, resolution number 2025-001, confirming the appointment of Richard Adler to the City Council District 2 for a term expiring upon the certification of the November 2026 general municipal election results and requesting that the city clerk notify the Contra Costa County Elections Department of the appointment.
Okay, before we do the appointment, I'd like to open up public comment on this item. Public comment is open. Do we have any speaker cards?
I do have 2 speaker cards for this item. The first is from Shirag Kathrani.
Hello, Council. Okay. So one thing is like when we did the interview process and selected all those candidates, we had a lot of public comments, hundreds of public emails that came up on Friday's meetings, and they were not addressed adequately in the public calendar, like when the meeting happened. And I would like council to be very clear in how they did the scoring, how they put the marks, and because hundreds of people deserve a response. And there's a petition in which 130 people have signed from San Ramon. So they all deserve a kind of detailed response of the selection process, how it went through. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And we're aware of the petition. Thank you. Next speaker.
Anthony DeAngelis.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I spoke the last time around as well. I think it was last Thursday. And a couple of things I just want to reiterate. The first is this, that I think the spirit of representation is something that should be respected. This is something that the council had ignored. And this is despite the many public comments as well as what was stated at the previous meeting. The second point is this, that this is not about a person. This is not about Shirag. This is about the process. Right? Probably it's a done deal by now, but I think we have to recognize that representation is there for a reason. And cognizance should have been taken of that fact before a decision was made. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And just to reiterate, we did receive public comment that was received prior to the last meeting, and that was acknowledged, and all the council members had a copy of that and had the opportunity to read all of that public comment and hear the verbal public comment at that meeting as well. Any other speakers?
That was the last speaker card.
Any written speaker?
Not for this item.
Items? Okay. All right, then I will close public comment on this item. And can I get a motion to approve the resolution 2025-001?
I so move to approve the resolution 2025-001.
I second it.
Okay, we've got motion, Councilmember Rubio, second, Councilmember Veros. Because Councilmember Veros is joining us remotely, we will ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Joanette,
Yes.
Councilmember Rubio,
Yes.
Councilmember Veros,
Yes.
and Mayor Armstrong.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 4-0.
Okay. Motion passes. All right, next item. This is 3.2, administration of the oath of office to Councilmember District 2, Richard Adler. And if we could ask Richard Adler to come forward, the city clerk will administer the oath, and anyone else, you're welcome to join as well.
Richard Adler,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
that I will well and faithfully
that I will and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter. Thank you so much.
Right, let's get a nice picture there. All right, and Richard, if you'd like to say a few comments, see if,
Hello.
there you go.
Yeah, I want to thank, first of all, the council for this appointment. I'm very happy and honored to be the person that is chosen to be District 2 representative. I'm very glad my family is here to witness this. I wish my parents were still around to be also a witness, but it's a tremendous honor. And District 2, as you might know, has been held by some pretty esteemed San Ramon citizens, and I'm in the one behind me, Mark Armstrong, held that position. And before that was Dave Hudson. So I have a lot to live up to, but I'm confident that working with the city council will be able to do the things that we want to do to keep San Ramon such a great city and keep our law enforcement funded and keep our parks going and all the things that are important to the people of San Ramon. So thanks for being here and witnessing this event, and I'll go up and take my my chair. Thanks very much.
All right, well, welcome, Richard, and is any of the council members have anything to say? Otherwise, we'll continue on. Okay. All right, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item 4, announcements. 4.1, changes and additions to the agenda. There are none this evening. Item 4.2, if you'd like to speak under public comment or any item on the agenda, please fill out a speaker card and bring it forward. Item 5, public comment.
Okay, public comment is open. At this time, members of the audience are encouraged to address the city council on any non-agenda item related to the business of the city council. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Just a reminder, no council action can be taken at this meeting on issues raised during public comment. During public comment, members of the public are permitted to address the city council on the following: any non-agenda item related to the business of the city council, items that are on the consent calendar, including requests to pull an item from the consent calendar and the reason why you wish to pull the item or items. But please note that the decision to remove the item from the consent calendar is strictly at the discretion of the city council. You can speak on requests for future agenda items or any special presentation items under Section 7 of tonight's agenda, of which there are none. Items, you can also speak on items that are not on the agenda or are within the city council's jurisdiction. Do we have any speaker cards at this time?
I do not have any speaker cards for this item, but we did receive 3 written comments that are before the city council as well as in the back of the room and posted on the city's website.
And did everybody get a copy of those? Okay,
Yes.
seeing that. Okay. So we acknowledge receipt of those written comments. Thank you for that. I will then close public comment. And we will move on to the consent calendar, item 6. And can I get a motion on the consent calendar?
I move to approve the consent items.
I second.
Okay, motion Rubio and a second by Councilmember Rose. Do we have any discussion on this? Okay, if not,
Through the mayor, excuse me, before the vote, can we have the reading of the title of the ordinance?
yeah, Madam Clerk, would you please read the title only, please, on
Yes.
item 6.8?
Yes. Corrected ordinance 527 of the city of San Ramon, repealing and replacing Title B, Division B6, Health, Sanitation, and Environmental Quality, Chapter 9, Living in Vehicles of the San Ramon Municipal Code with Chapter 9, Encampments on Public Property.
Okay, thank you. We have read that into the record. And at this point, I'd like to take a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Adler,
Yes.
Councilmember Joanna,
Yes.
Councilmember Rubio,
Yes.
Councilmember Veros,
Yes.
and Mayor Armstrong.
Yes,
Thank you. That passes 5-0.
okay. Again, item 7, special presentations, there are none. Item 8, no deferred consent items. We're on to new business, item 9. This is the Senior Advisory, Senior Citizens Advisory Committee Annual Report. Steve Cox, would you like to do the introduction, please?
Yes, thank you. And good evening, council. Good evening, Mayor Armstrong, council members, and residents of San Ramon who are listening in today or here in the audience. My name is Steve Cox. I'm the staff advisor to the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee. Tonight, the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee is pleased to present its annual report to the City Council, highlighting the committee's key accomplishments and future goals, and to get feedback from the council. It is now my pleasure to introduce current and two-time chair to the Senior Advisory Committee, Colette Clark, to give the Senior Advisory Annual Report.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Mayor Armstrong, fellow council members, staff, and members of the public for allowing me to present the 2023-2024 Senior Advisory Committee's annual report this evening. It's a great pleasure to serve as the chairperson of the Senior Advisory Committee this year. They've been very active. Senior Advisory Committee members consist of myself, Colette Clark, as the chair, Sandra March, vice chair, Carlos Carazo, I keep putting an N there, so excuse me, Carlos Carazo, recording secretary, Richard Adler, Judith Murphy, Jim 2, and our newest member, Udaya Rababandari. Our object and change is to provide recommendations to the staff, the commission, the city council, or on programs for seniors and San Ramon Senior Center policies. We're the channel for the communications between the staff, the senior center participants, and the senior community. We appoint appropriate subcommittees as necessary to further the work of the center's programs and the efforts of the committee. We receive input for the senior committee involving current and future needs. We advocate senior issues within the entire community and act as a liaison for the senior issues to government and private organizations. We also identify problems of service and recommend appropriate solutions. According to the bylaws for the Senior Advisor Committee, the object and charge of the committee are what guides the Senior SAC. Our accomplishment actions of 2023-2024, we engage with senior living facilities in San Ramon to gather feedback on services their residents might be interested in providing information about programs and activities offered at the Alcasta Senior Center and Community Center for individuals age 55 and above. Members of the Senior Citizen Advisory Committee visited 5 local assisted senior living and 55 plus communities in San Ramon. The visits provided insights into the needs of San Ramon senior residents and provided better understanding of how the Alcosta Senior and Community Center could offer complimentary recreational services. We visited Valley Vista, Brookdale, Ivy Park, Sunny Glen, and Deer Creek Apartments. Each member, including Colette Clark, Judith Murphy, Richard Adler, Carlos Carrazzo, and Jim Chu, provided reports on their observations, and they were handled by the city. We also provided staff with feedback to revise the survey questions being asked from the previous senior needs assessment and provide support to the dissemination of an updated senior needs assessment. The members discussed and decided to revisit and develop new survey questions for an updated senior needs assessment. The committee wanted to ensure that the assessment questions accurately reflect the evolving needs of the seniors of San Ramon senior population. This will be discussed later in the goals. Accomplishments and actions for 2023-2024 also included the analyzing of the outcomes of that senior needs assessment and providing feedback regarding the findings of the previous assessment. Committee decided to revisit the existing needs and intends to analyze the outcomes based on recent data. And that is further discussed in our goals too. And again, the committee will assist with the administration of the new senior needs assessment with updated questions to ensure it captures the most relevant information and also to help decide how to disseminate the questions. Accomplishments and actions, we collaborated with staff to identify the important information to be included in a welcome package tailored for new San Ramon residents age 55 plus that can be passed out at the Alcosta Senior and Community Center. On the June 3rd, 2024 Senior Advisory Committee meeting, members reviewed and discussed the contents of the welcome packet for first-time visitors in Alcosta Senior and Community Center. Based on the feedback from the advisory committee, the welcome packet should provide a warm introduction and essential information to visitors in the center that includes such items as welcome letters from the City of San Ramon and the San Ramon Senior Center Foundation, a facility contact list, the Encore newsletter, membership forms, program schedules, transportation options, and other important resources. The welcome packet was assembled by the staff and provided to new visitors. Accomplishments and actions, we also recognized and select individual senior citizen or aging and related organizations that have significantly contributed to enhancing the quality of life for senior residents in San Ramon on triannual basis. Over the past year, the Senior Citizen Advisory Committee selected and recognized several senior recipients for their outstanding contributions to the aging population of San Ramon. The individuals were Mary Davis, Jackie Esse, Cam and Phil Reed, Vera Wimbush, Angela Cotton, and organizations AARP Tax Aid and the Dublin San Ramon Women's Club, which went above and beyond in providing volunteer services for seniors in the San Ramon community. Recipients were recognized at the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee meeting following their selection and their names included in the Encore newsletter. We held a goal-setting workshop where previous committee goals were reviewed and new goals were recommended in preparation for the committee's annual report. The Senior Citizen Advisory Committee conducted a goal-setting workshop at the Alcosta Senior and Community Center. During the workshop, the committee reviewed the previous goals, assessed progress, and recommended new objectives for inclusion in the upcoming annual report. By the end of the workshop, each member contributed to setting actionable goals for the coming year. During the workshop, the committee engaged in a thorough review of the previous goals. We made recommendations for new objectives and in the upcoming annual report, and they worked with the staff to plan an orientation program for new SAC members, which included an informative tour, and the tour was reviewed, and the usage of the facilities include hours of operation, room functions, and program schedules. New Senior Citizen Advisory Committee members were given a binder at the orientation, which contained the committee report, guidelines and bylaws, current annual reports, advisory handbook, current Encore newsletters, and information on the Brown Act. Our goals align with the committee's change and purpose. We collaborate with the Teen Council to support intergenerational programs, ideas that can be implemented at the Alcostas Senior and Community Center. The Senior Citizen Advisory Committee, in collaboration with Teen Council and staff, successfully implemented several intergenerational programs, which include Teen Tech Days, lunchtime performances, and senior educational workshops. These workshops fostered meaningful connections between seniors and younger generations. Programs were designed to enhance community engagement and provide educational and recreational opportunities for participants of all ages. The council, the SAC also has liaisons. Our liaisons are City Council and Parks and Community Services. We also liaison with Planning Commission, Transportation Advisory Committee, Teen Council, Library Advisory Committee, Housing Advisory Committee, Arts Advisory Committee, Senior Center Foundation, and Senior Outreach Committee. And we've attended all. Goals and objectives, 2024. These were the ones that we set at our committee. The first goal is to evaluate the effectiveness of the Encore newsletter and other communication tools for San Ramon's 55+ population by assessing the current usage. Gather feedback from senior center users, and provide staff with recommendations on improving outreach, which is is in the city rules of 3.3B. We also collaborate. Number 2 is to collaborate with staff and provide recommendations on the development of new survey questions in the senior needs assessment, assist with outreach and gather responses and review the responses and provide feedback to staff for senior related programs and services. This is 3.1, B2, and 3.3B. We have 4 goals this year. The third goal is to identify and collaborate with key senior related community stakeholders, including local organizations and public service providers, to develop a volunteer outreach program aimed at connecting with seniors in San Ramon. And again, this is 3.3B. And number 4 is to review the Senior Citizen Advisory Committee bylaws and make recommendations for changes to items such as the committee's name and the meeting frequency. And this is 3.2A from the city. Our committee is very committed to helping the senior center to be a place people want to visit. And I think it reflects it in our goals and our objectives. With that, thank you, Mayor Armstrong and council members, for again allowing me the opportunity to present this information to you this evening. If there are any questions, I will be happy to answer them with the help of the city staff.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the council?
There's just a comment.
I was just going to make a comment that we also have an opportunity to get input from the seniors. We have coffee, meetings where we ask them what they like about the Alcosta Senior Center and what ideas they might have to improve it. So we reach out to the seniors, and I think that's been very helpful to have a good collaboration there.
I have a question, Mayor Armstrong.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks for the presentation. My question is the outreach program. It seems to be one of the best way to reach throughout our senior community. Could you please share what are the mediums that we are using in order to outreach our seniors within whole San Ramon?
That's part of our goal. One of the goals that we set, which was what, 2? Let me look at the goals again. Sorry. We set our goal because our main outreach is through the Encore, and we wanted to see other ways to reach out to senior community and stakeholders. So that's really, actually, it's all of our goals combined. So we're going to be reviewing what is out there that we're not using and what's out there that we're using in order to talk with the seniors and to get the information out there of what is here in San Ramon. maybe Steve can explain that a little better.
Yeah, it's good. I'm gonna swing around. And then, part of the senior outreach program is we meet with private entities that specialize in services for the aging population. And we try to engage those entities throughout the San Ramon community, going out to different assisted living facilities, memory care facilities, 55+ living facilities throughout San Ramon. And then we do offer a monthly meeting where we come together and discuss some of the items that are facing the aging population in San Ramon to try and get a broader understanding of what's going on. The San Ramon Senior Center facility and the Senior Advisory Committee try to address items that come up and advise staff to take action. But we also get a tremendous amount of information from those private entities that we do outreach for, giving our Encore newsletters, sending emails to, and meeting with to understand what they're what they're working with the aging population in San Ramon. And that group meets monthly. I hope that better answers the council member Verosa's question.
And if it,
Yeah,
Question.
I have a follow-up question
ahead.
on that one. Yeah, so Encore newsletter is seniors need to register for that, or how that is being shared within the senior community?
There's a few different means by which we try to get the Encore newsletter out into the community. There is an optional program, and if you become what we call an Encore member, we will mail it to your home. We do also print enough copies that if you're able to come to the community center, you can pick one up. We also send it out through an email and a link by which you can receive home. We also have an option where we have a flyer that has a QR code onto it that you can pull it up on your phone. So we're trying to get it out there through as many means as possible and make it as convenient to the senior population as possible.
Thanks. I have one more question. So now, is monthly meeting, senior committee meeting, is it the best place where seniors can come and join and share their needs within the community, or is there any other options that they have?
We ask people to come in and talk to us at all times because we're active at the senior center ourselves as committee members. So when we see people and they have something, we ask them to come to us. Then we also send them to Steve, and we also ask them to put it in writing. And if it's in writing, it gets addressed in a different way. So we really send them to the staff. We listen to them, but we send them to the staff.
Thank you. Thanks. That's pretty much my questions.
Right. The suggestion box.
Yeah, just to understand is that the senior center is such a tremendous asset to the community and for the aging population. It's 15,000 square feet that's available. It's a public building, so anybody is welcome to come into the facility. People can meet in public lobbies and socialize. They can come for a meal Monday through Friday. There's, even within city limits, transportation to come into the center as well. Monday through Friday, we'll pick you up at, your residence. You can come to the center and then get a meal and then be returned home after the day. There is a suggestion box there that people can leave suggestions for that go back to the Senior Advisory Committee. And if, they direct the staff, we can also follow up with whatever information is provided at that Senior Advisory Committee.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
well, first and foremost, thank you for that great presentation and thank you for the wonderful work that you're doing. It is vital and very critical. And I think it's just one of the most important things I think that we could possibly do is make sure that our seniors are aging, with dignity, right? And they're able to live the most fulfilling lives, even and especially in their retirement. So I just had sort of a follow-up question a little bit to what Councilmember Veros mentioned, and I just want to get a little bit more clarity. In terms of the monthly meetings, is there a virtual option perhaps for those who are homebound?
We have a recording that we do. But we don't record, we do
Like
a tape
hybrid
recorder,
meetings?
Tape
Mm.
recorder, but we don't have a video anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, correct. So for the Senior Advisory Committee, it is a public meeting, so anybody who can come and be in attendance is welcome to attend the meeting. For those who cannot be in attendance, it is recorded, and then that recording is put on to the Boards and Meetings webpage of the city. So while it is not live at the moment, all that information is available shortly afterwards that they can listen to the whole meeting.
Okay, great. And then, and I'm assuming also when you talk about outreach, some of those considerations will entail language accessibility as well as, disability issues, for example, making sure it's in Braille or for anyone who has other disabilities that may impair their ability to actively participate, correct? And then also, I'm assuming we have some seniors who are also very tech savvy, but others who may not be as savvy. That's also in consideration as well.
Do have a library,
Technology center.
a center where they can come in and work on computers. We offer courses every once in a while free, where people can be taught how to use them.
Mhm,
And we have the teens who come in and teach us what we want to know
mhm.
on an individual basis. So we do reach out a lot to those who don't have tech savvy, and those who do have, they have the ability to come in. Our foundation just upgraded our computers. They were 25 years old, 30 years old.
It's not quite, but yes, old for computers.
Old for computers, and they just gave us 4 new computers
Wow.
and a new printer. And so, yes, we do address the technology part too.
And that's great. And I'm wondering, do you tie that into perhaps helping them understand like technology that could be life-saving to them as well?
We have speakers who come in and actually, like we had a scam group come in from Patelco. We've had speakers come in and talk. The lawyer came to our meeting and talked to us about, we have a monthly lawyer who comes from the county, who
Mhm.
comes into the center
Mhm.
on an and they can set up appointments there. And a lot of other ways that the seniors can get in touch with help. If they
Mhm.
want to learn something, if they have a problem, it's there at the center and they can go to the staff. And the staff helps direct them to the things that the county has if we don't have it in the
Resources.
city.
Yeah.
They have a really good list.
Mhm.
And it's like 3 pages long. And they help direct people to those.
Mhm.
But in the center, if somebody said, I want to learn how to, there's ways that they can get help.
Do we have anybody who actually works, for example, like sign language, who helps, like when we have these presentations, is there anyone who does that?
We don't have any live ASL, but if someone makes a request, we are obligated to seek out somebody who could assist in that regards.
Mhm.
More common, we see a language difference,
Mhm.
and we'll find and work with usually seniors. We have quite a few people who help translate languages for us on site. It's just such a wonderful social environment that everybody comes to work together and wants to help others while they're there. I did want to just mention 2 things, Colette. Also, we do have a quarterly lunch with law enforcement where our
Mhm.
San Ramon Police Department comes down, gives a presentation, and makes themselves available to the seniors in the community, which is, I don't know if it's unique, but it's really wonderful to have that ability for our San Ramon Police Department to come down and actually speak with seniors and meet those officers and talk about some of the things they're dealing with as getting older. And also our teen council. Our teen council does senior tech days throughout the year where they find time to come down and meet with seniors and to go over some of the technology adversity that they may have. So whether it's setting up an email or logging online or what to look for and what not to do, it's an incredible collaboration, and that's kind of that intergenerational item that we have. So it's really neat to see that come together, and they do that throughout the year as well.
This one's February
Great.
18th.
February. Great. And so last question, just to follow up to what the comment you said. So, but in terms of those accommodations and accessibility offerings that you make available, you do that proactively. You let them know, we can offer this if needed in some way.
We will usually ask if anybody needs further assistance.
Mhm.
And so, if it's coming together, for example, if we were showing movies, we do closed captioning. So we're asking them, can everybody read what we're doing? Do you want closed captioning? So it's more of that proactiveness when we do
Mhm.
that. So we do want to see that those seniors want those items. But we will definitely work with them to make sure they have everything they need to be able to communicate at the center with everybody else who's there.
Great. Well, thank you so much for all the great work and important work again that you're doing. I truly appreciate it.
Questions, Robert?
I have a quick comment. So
Okay.
thank you so much for the presentation. What do you find the seniors, I guess, they lack the most or they ask for? Where do they need help?
Well, that would go to Steve, actually, because we advise, but what do we usually do? A lot of people come in and say, whoa, this is a great center, Well, that type, but
Yeah, and I mean, one of the goals you'll see that Senior Advisory Committee is going to look at is updating that survey and assessment to get some of that information that you're asking for. When someone moves into the community who's new, whether it's into a home or assisted living facility, a lot of it for us is what can they do, and what is offered to their abilities and levels. And so it's really important for us when we're programming activities that it's really for all levels and all abilities. I mean, from 55 and up. I mean, we just had a gentleman who turned 100 2 weeks ago, and that's wonderful. And I don't want to say uncommon, but we had somebody who turned 100 last year as well. And so, but someone who's older needs different services than someone who's 55. And so for us, it's always trying to create that balance. And we're also looking, for our, as we become more diverse as a population here in Santa Rosa, making sure we're addressing those cultural changes and what those needs are. And so really a lot of times what we find out is not till somebody comes in and asks us, have you ever offered this program or activity? And if we find ourselves saying no, then we need to look at why and then how we can address it. And so I don't know if it's one particular item, but it's making sure that we have a range of programming and activities for all levels and for all individuals 55 and over.
it's an example of our exercise classes.
Mhm.
We have a number of exercise classes, and there's some that are really for 55 to 75.
Mhm.
But when you're 75 or 80, you need a different type of exercise class, and that's also offered at the senior center. And anyone can come to these classes,
Okay.
drop-in classes, so.
Okay, one more question, if I may. How can people get in touch or get involved or volunteer? You mentioned the police department, you mentioned other folks that offer their services, whether it be financial, legal, et cetera. Is there a particular person or contact we should?
Yes, I mean, I think all my information is up on the webpage, but I encourage anyone to come in to the center. I think that's a big part of what we want to see and offer, and working with the Senior Advisory Committee is what they'd like to see and offer is having those individuals come in. And if there is something that you would like to do, we have volunteering opportunities at the center. Monday through Friday, we offer a nutritious lunch program. Some people aren't always ready or don't need those meals, but they are ready to help and provide the meals. And so they come in and they meet with seniors and they help serve the meals that are provided Monday through Friday. We have our front desk, greeters and ambassadors who really are the individuals. When you come in, you want to see a peer and see somebody who might be going through something where you're at in your life. So whether it's just I need to do more exercise, or I've lost a loved one, or I didn't know what was here, and what do you offer? So we have those volunteer opportunities for people. And if you do come in, you can ask for me. I know Colette makes herself available as well. The Senior Advisory Committee is a great opportunity to come in to their monthly meeting and talk about what you'd like to see, or if you have questions about what's offered. So we try to, again, make it as accessible as possible. That's always what we're trying to do. And Colette's always on me is we want to make sure the community knows all the offerings that are there for them, for that 55 plus and older population. So our email, phone, come in, knock on my door. It's we're pretty welcoming.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Richard, questions?
Well, since I've been on the other side, I'm pretty well schooled in the great thing to do, but I just wanted to make a comment about how important it is to have the senior center because, it can be a very challenging time of your life. You may lose your spouse, your friends may pass away and you start losing your friends. And so you can go to the senior center, meet new people, have a lunch, take some classes, remain fit. And, we're also concerned about making sure that we have benches on the trails, shade. There's a lot of things you want to have available. So I really appreciated the time I've spent on the Senior Advisory Committee because, seniors are essential and hopefully we'll, young people here eventually will reach that age and they may need these services. And it's great that we provide them to our seniors. So thank you for being here.
Okay, all right. This time I'd like to open up public comment on this item. Do we have any speaker cards?
Not for this item, no.
And no written comments either? Oh. Please come up, state your name and address. You can fill out the speaker card here in a moment, but
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council people. Thank you so much. First, I want to thank you. It's amazing. I didn't even know this existed while living for a long time in San Ramon. So I have a question, and you don't have to answer. It's more of a comment. And this is as a follow-up to Councilman Veros's question, which was really good question. You missed it, I don't mind. To me, my question is, I live right up the street, and how come I didn't hear about it? And I'm 59 years old. So the question that I have is, how are you measuring your effectiveness of reaching out? Okay, and do you have someone who has a knowledge that can help you to reach out? Me, my mother-in-law, half the time she's here from Africa. I have 6 months, we didn't know what to do with her. Had I known with this, I would have loved to have brought to her. If someone does me, how many people are there? And if you have no one who has the knowledge how to reach out, have you ever asked the council for help? But the second most important for me is the numbers. How many people did you serve in 2024? You certainly are working hard. There's no doubt about that. So how many people have been served? How many senior citizens are there in San Ramon? And how many people are coming out of it? If it's just 1% of the population, what can we help us to reach other people? So you have a lot of activities, and I hope you have the numbers to back up all this and do a better job in 2025, because you're doing an amazing job. Maybe you've given the report to the council, and us public, we haven't seen it. So I don't want you to take this as a criticism. I see it as someone who runs companies. The numbers means everything to me. You see, if there are 2,000 senior citizens and you service only 20, then it's ineffective. All this hard work doesn't mean anything. So please take it to my heart in the right place. I'm not criticizing you. I just want you to succeed. Really do. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much.
okay. All right, thank you. And if there's no other public comment, we will close public comment. I'll just say, Colette, thank you so much for the presentation. Thanks for all that you and the Senior Advisory Committee do. The Senior Center is such a great resource. I've been the liaison from the council for several years now. And I've seen by the way, I've seen the statistics presented at the quarterly reports and things like that. And your participation has been growing, especially since COVID, coming out of COVID. And you've had an increase in the programming over the last couple of years. So I'd say just keep up the great work there. There's always a consistent, great satisfaction, great comments by everybody about how well things are going there. And I think that's a big, in part because of the hard work that the Senior Advisory Committee is doing, our Senior Foundation, Steve and Becky and Susie and everybody at the Senior Center is doing such a great job, all the volunteers and everybody. Just thanks for all that you've done. And we look forward to continued great efforts in 2025. So thank you again, Colette, for a super report. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Mayor Armstrong, I have one comment.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for sharing your presentation, and congratulations on your 2024 accomplishments. Looking forward for your 2025. I'm very glad that you're working with our teen council on your intergenerational programs. I'm definitely excited to see the programs that you are working on. So next presentation or future presentation, I would definitely like to see those programs. And also one more important thing, that evaluation of your Encore newsletter that you have as part of your 2025 as a public comment, right? So even in public comment, as mentioned, evaluation is very important. Measuring our work is very important so that we can share our benchmarks or our accomplishments. So once again, thank you very much, and looking forward for those two items in the future presentation, and all the best for 2025 goals. And also, please don't hesitate to reach out to me for any assistance in outreach of senior community within our community. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. That will conclude item 10. Now we'll move on to, or I'm sorry, item 9. Steve, anything else? You good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you for having us here
All right.
tonight.
Now we'll move on to item 10, city managers and city council member comments and matters initiated.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Happy New Year. And my first update involves Lunar New Year. So on Sunday, February 2nd from 2 to 4 p.m. at the City Center, there is a community event celebrating the Lunar New Year. 2025 is the year of the snake. It includes, the event is free. It includes dance performances, lion dancers, kung fu demonstrations, and much more. If you haven't been to this event, I highly encourage that you go. It's an absolutely wonderful community event. And my other item this evening is to remind the public that applications are now open for the spring session of the San Ramon Police Department's Community Academy. Sessions begin February 12th and continue on Wednesdays from 6 to 9 p.m. through May 7th. And you can learn more and apply at the city's website at sanramon.ca.gov. That is another highly recommended community program to attend. And with that, that concludes my announcements for this evening.
All right, very good. I think I'd like to kind of go remote first to Council Member Veros.
Thank you, Mayor. Yep, thank you. I'm on vacation, so having vacation time, I didn't get to attend any committees meetings because of New Year break. So Happy New Year to everyone. One update is on January 20th, this coming Monday, we have annual MLK Day open mic in our city rotunda from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. It is open to public. Please join us. This is the only event within the Tri-Valley for MLK Day. Looking forward to see you all there. That's my update. Thank you.
Okay. Next, I'm going to go to Councilmember Rubio, only because we got a couple of the new council members and they can kind of take your lead.
Okay, no problem. As mentioned, many of us were away during the holiday, like many people. However, we got immediately back to work. I attended on Saturday, January 4th, the Crow Canyon Winter Wassail. I had, in all honesty, had no idea what a wassail was, but found out it was great. It's actually an English tradition where they have song, dance, and they also plant like some dried fruit and bread on the branches of trees. And it's basically to celebrate and in the hopes of bringing good harvest forward for the upcoming year. But so it was really kind of nice. We had some performers and dancers and who brought some music as well for us to follow and in the tradition that's been around for many centuries. So it was great. It was a great celebration. And then on Saturday, January 11th, along with all of my fellow council members and the mayor as well, I attended the city public art dedication. And we obviously had a speech from the Mayor Armstrong, the library director, Parks and Community Services Chair Partha Mitra, as well as our new Nobel Poet Laureate. And I don't have the name, so if somebody has it, please provide it. Jazz. Thank you. Thank you. And so it was great. We had a beautiful piece that's now standing in front of the library across from City Hall. It's basically an art piece that creates like a reflection in its surrounding, depending on the angle of the sunlight and which way it's coming, and you can see the reflection in the on the ground and around this environment. So very beautiful. I encourage you to check it out. And that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Let's go over to Councilmember Schwanet.
Thank you, Mayor. I was proud to have attended my first official function on December 29th. I attended the Hanukkah Festival of Lights at the City Center in San Ramon. Was presented by the Chabad of Danville, San Ramon. Rabbi Shmuley Reitman and his fellowship invited us over. We hosted it at City Center. Magnificent event. Was held from 4 to 6. I gave a greeting. Chief Denton Carlson, who's here, gave a greeting as well. Thank you. And Mayor Renee Morgan from Danville followed up, and newly elected Councilmember Mark Bellows. And it was a fantastic event. It was really well attended. These type of ceremonies usually are with folks that are just folks that go to that congregation, but it was attended very well by everyone at the city center. And thank you to our police force. Really fantastic professional all around. They weren't just present, they were engaging. I noticed that they would, first time I ever seen an officer engage with a child, they were kneeling down in front of the child and eye to eye, which I thought was very touching. Also, our fire crew were throwing chocolates by parachutes over the balcony. I thought it was nice. So to the kids, a lot of crafts, a lot of food, a lot of art. Really good time. It was the sixth night of Hanukkah, which was interesting because it began at sunset on Christmas Day, which doesn't happen too often, and we were fortunate enough to host it on the sixth night. So thank you for allowing me to attend that. That was a lot of fun. On January 9th, I attended with Mayor Armstrong and City Manager Steve Spadowski, the Contra Costa County Mayor's Conference in lovely Oakley, California, although we couldn't see much because it was dark, but very well attended as well. It was new, a lot of new faces. I'll have Mayor Armstrong touch on that as well. And piggybacking off of Councilmember Rubio, public art dedication. If you haven't had the chance to go see it, right across the street, fantastic, wonderful piece of art. And thank you to the Parks Department and Library Commission for inviting us over. Really, really spectacular piece, especially if you catch in the sunlight. Very beautiful, very nice. That's it for me for events. May I bring up a matter initiated, Mayor? Or do you want me to hold that to?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I realized after the our interviews on Friday, we had spoken generally to the candidates and let them know that, hey, if you wanted to participate in city government, we have committee positions opening, et cetera. I recognize that one of them was just as closed and wanted to put open to for discussion if we could allow the candidates from Friday to be interviewed for the commission spot, even though it had closed already. We could extend that time period.
Yeah, well, we can talk about that.
I don't know if
And I'm
I've-
probably going to turn to the city manager and city attorney on this because we would have to not just open it up to them, but we'd have to open it up to the entire, community to extend that period again. But let me hear what we have from the
Ye-
city manager and
Well,
city
I
attorney.
don't know if the city attorney wants to chime in, but I think it is under the discretion of the council if you want to open it up again to the general public or just to the members that interviewed Friday night. You could say that if they were interested in applying, that we could open it up to them as well. I think it's under the purview of the council. I don't know if we're required to open it up to the public as well.
I don't know that it's a requirement, but there is a fundamental fairness consideration with opening it up that you may decide that that's the better way to go.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on this, Councilmember Rubio or Councilmember Adler in the room here? And we'll go out to Councilmember Rose in a second.
Well, first and foremost, I'm all for, providing more opportunity for all of our residents who want to be part of the, help the city shape the form, like what we're doing in the city. So, I mean, I think if we open it, like the attorneys mentioned, I think it would be important to open it to everyone, not just the people who applied. And it would have to be obviously initiated by them, just like anyone else, that they want to be considered for this position. But if are there any logistical barriers, complications that it would pose in terms of appointments and interviews, things like that?
Well, first off, I just want to say that if we're going to actually have this be a discussion item as opposed to everyone just kind of nodding their heads, then we should probably agendize the topic and
I think so.
do it that way.
Okay. Well, with that, can I get a 3 head nods to include a remote head nod from Councilmember Rose? Just, you can verbally articulate what you want. I think the rest of us in here are open to the idea of putting it on the agenda for consideration at a future meeting. Do I get head nods here?
Yes.
Yes.
Have that in the room.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I support opening it for the public for extended period. Thanks.
Okay. All right. You got what you need?
Sure. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. What else you got?
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Now we're back to council member comments for Councilmember Adler.
Can I, general comment about how important participation is, and the fact that you mentioned the Citizens Police Academy. I took that, and I tell you, you just developed such a great understanding and appreciation for law enforcement. You do a ride along, and you're involved in some of the little training they do, and it really opened my eyes to our law enforcement. So that was great. I also want to thank the scouts that are still here watching the proceedings. And I did go to my first, wasn't official because I guess I wasn't sworn in yet, right? The art display that's over at the library. I remember hearing about it when I was reporting, I think, on Parks and Community Services a couple of years ago, and it was just an idea. And here we are on Saturday morning, beautiful day. We're all there, dedicating this beautiful piece of art. And so it's exciting to see things happen, start from a plan and then you see it actually get finished. So it gives you a good feeling about the love that we have for art in this community. I think that's about all I have.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, then I'll kind of close things out here. As Councilmember Schweinert mentioned, we attended the Contra Costa County Mayor's Conference in Oakley. The main presentation topic that day was there was a presenter from John Muir Health, and he talked on mental health and some of the capabilities and resources that John Muir Health has, some of their funding challenges and things like that. It was very interesting. Met a couple of you, all of you mentioned the public art dedication. On Monday, yesterday, I attended a senior foundation meeting. Okay, senior foundation is different than the senior advisory committee. Senior foundation is the kind of the fundraising arm of that helps and contributes towards our senior center activities. And they talked about the most recent Mingle and Jingle event back in December, and they set a date for next year, for next December. One of the other things they've got coming up, and you can see this in the Encore newsletter, we talked about that, but AARP does offer free tax preparation services every year. That'll be coming up soon. So I just want to kind of put a shout out now. It'll be on Wednesday, starting on the 5th of February. It'll go through April 9th. And between 8:30 and 3 o'clock. It's by appointment only, but it was very, very popular last year. Probably about 500 people got free tax assistance at the senior center. So you can go by the senior center front desk and sign up, or call the number, their number at 925-973-3250. One of the other programs they've got coming up this year that the foundation is going to sponsor is, as we mentioned a minute ago, we've got Lunar New Year coming up, but they've got Lunar New Year Bingo coming up. That'll be on January 25th from 12:30 to 4 o'clock at the Senior Center. $25 will get you 3 cards. Yeah. I believe so. I'd have to look at my Encore, and I've got it. See me after this. I've got the Encore newsletter. I can tell you that. And then today I went to the Contra Costa County Board of Supervisors reorganization lunch. This is over at the Diablo Country Club. Our supervisor, Anderson, she's the District 2 County Supervisor. She's the new chair for this coming year. The vice chair is Diane Burgess. She is the District 3 supervisor, and District 3 is, Brentwood, Antioch, Discovery Bay, Oakley area. And they also introduced the newest supervisor, Chanel Scales Preston, and she replaced Federal Glover, who had been on a board of supervisors for probably 25 years. I can't remember the exact time, but a long time. But they had that reorganization lunch today. I'll just say, and I guess I put this in the category matters initiated also, and I'm going to kind of turn to the city manager as I address this, but I'd like to see if I can get support from the council members also. But I think on everybody's mind right now, you can't help it, but you're seeing things being played out in Los Angeles with the LA fires. And we've gotten several emails. We've seen a lot in social media. A lot of residents are concerned about that here in the Tri-Valley area and in San Ramon in particular. We're seeing questions like, could this happen here? What are we doing to prevent it, and things like that. So there's a lot of concern. What I'd like to see at future city council meetings, and this can't all be done in one city council meeting, but I would like to see a few presentations, and one would be from our own city staff, and just talking about what is the city doing, or what would we do? What is the status of our infrastructure? What are some of the mitigation efforts that we do every year to prepare for wildfire season, to reduce the fuel load, to clear fire breaks and things like that? When winter storms are coming, what do we do about clearing our creeks? We had a consent item on tonight's calendar talking about some of the work that has been done in the past to repair some of the damage to our creeks. But what are we doing about that? What about our different alert systems? What are the different evacuation zones? If we were to get an alert and are told to evacuate, what do we know even what evacuation zone we're in? And then I'd like to see agency briefs from, for example, the San Ramon Valley Fire Protection District, East Bay MUD, Dublin San Ramon Services District. There may be some others, PG&E, but I think we don't need to do it all in one meeting, but something focused on meeting kind of the questions that are on the minds of our residents right now, about, are we ready? What if this happened here? How do we prevent this in San Ramon? And so I see you shaking your head, but I'd like to kind of see if other council members agree with me that this is something that they might be interested in hearing about, because I think our public is interested in hearing about it.
Yep.
Um,
Totally.
I would like to, I think it's a great idea. I think that if we can also, we do have that climate action task force that's been working with staff. Are you still meeting?
Or,
Do you have future meetings with them?
yes.
That might be a good opportunity to also bring that up to them and talk about some of those things and tie it all into some of these things. It's important to get feedback from, like, as mentioned, community members we intentionally selected people from different sectors in that task force, and they represent a voice that's very critical in this discussion. So I would encourage you, I think it's a great idea, but I would also encourage you to include the Climate Action Task Force to be part of that discussion. And I think I think it's something that we should always do. I think we've, it's great that we have a good, healthy reserve that we keep, in the event of emergency such as that. But it is important to help the community as well as everyone here know, what do we do when something like that happens? Where do we exit? Where do we get information, and making sure that that's readily accessible to our community.
And Mayor, if I can comment before this turns into a discussion item, since it's a matter initiated and I'm looking for three nodding heads. We can talk about this at a future meeting, but as you know, we do have our partners that present to us every year. We can make sure that there's an emphasis on what you are talking about. And I think I've seen all nodding heads and a nodding monitor down at the end about this item. Yes, the nodding monitor, we should figure out a way, to remotely control that. But yes, we can make sure that the emphasis is on preparedness, and also much of the city's work in terms of wildfire, hazard mitigation is through our geologic hazard abatement district, which we do meet before council meetings as a GAD board and as a GAD entity. But what we can do is have the GAD staff, which is us, present an item at a council meeting. So it's not before the council meeting, it's during the council meeting with much more exposure.
And could you also have them meet prior to coming here to council, have them meet with that task force to make sure their questions are answered?
Which task force?
The Climate Action Task Force?
Well, that, I think now we're starting to get into a discussion item, and right now the Climate Action Task Force is operating under a certain purview and a certain direction from the council. And if we start deviating from that, I think we do need to agendize that to modify their task. Because right now their task is to review the climate action plan and then to look at developing a potential set of goals and responsibility for the committee. They're not, other than that, we don't really have the ability to bring anything else for review unless we modify their purview in the middle of the work that they're doing right now. And that, I would suggest, is another discussion item, and not to be really hacked out as a matters initiated.
Because the reason I'm asking that is because, as I mentioned, we have people who are strategically selected that have a vested interest in many different capacities in that task force, who represent, under such circumstance, have an opinion, I'm sure, to share of what their primary concerns would be. And I think it should be tied into what you bring here.
Sure, but I think that's leading to more of a discussion before direction for the council.
Yeah.
So we'd have to agendize that to modify the current task in.
Both then?
Well, so we have the three nodding heads for the additional information, and now I'm beginning to hear another matters initiated to bring this item back in a staff report to the council to modify the current role of the climate task force. Is that?
Sure if it's modifying, but it's because you have been working and they have reviewed the climate action plan that we are updating.
Sure.
They have been working very intricately on that front. So I just feel that they should be included in that consideration and that discussion.
Okay.
So again, I'll just say that, what I'm looking for really is, we've heard from residents that they're concerned right now. I'm just looking for the city staff to kind of give give an update and tell us some of the basic things that I mentioned, get some of the key agencies to talk us about what our key partners are doing. There's a lot of people that definitely have input. I'm not saying we can't have any particular input into the process, but I don't want to get into the discussion thing. I just would like staff to take a look at how we can start a process where we get focused on disaster preparation, disaster mitigation, and response, and what would we do, and are we prepared? That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Could that be tied into our goal setting meetings?
Very much so.
thinking.
Yes.
'Cause I'm
The
thinking
direction that we're getting now under Matters Initiated, that's a very, it's something that we can accommodate with the purpose of Matters Initiated is an item that, we can get direction from a majority of the council that's relatively, easy administrative. But when we start directing work tasks and modifying work plans, that's more of a discussion item. We need to agendize, make sure the public has a chance to chime in on what the council is directing. So the initial request, hey, can we have a focus and a presentation? We do. We receive East Bay Mud presentation every year. Our representative was here this evening. I was speaking with our East Bay Mud rep about the situation. And yes, they've been getting a lot of calls. Yes, they have a lot of information. We can make sure that's a focus, and we can also schedule those meetings sooner rather than later so everyone has the information.
Yeah.
But anything other than a general direction, we do need to agendize for the public in order for them to comment on.
So what we're saying is just doing but they do those presentations anyway, but we'll try to
Make sure the focus.
Yeah,
to
focus the
focus
presentation.
on
Mhm.
in the event of a fire event,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. All right. With that, that's all I had. And at this time, what's next, Madam Clerk?
Item 11, adjournment.
Okay, thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned until our next regular meeting on January 28th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.